Hi, moguls. Welcome to the show. Today we have an amazing guest for you. Hope you had a spectacular spring Easter weekend. Today we have Dr. Jose Morey. Dr. Morey is known as Dr. Intergalactic. He's the CEO of Astra Media, and he is a fellow of the Eisenhower Foundation and the Chief Medical Innovation Officer for Liberty Biosecurity. Let's welcome Dr. Jose Morey to the show. Welcome, Dr. Morey.
Hey, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. Can we just share real quickly? Can you let everyone know what does Dr. Intergalactic, can you share that with a little bit more so our audience can learn what exactly that is your specialty?
Well, the reason I've been called the first intergalactic doctor is not really like a specialty per se. It's just that my background is I'm a physician by formal training. I'm a radiologist clinically, but I've worked in emerging technology now for almost 2 decades. So it's because I've worked at kind of that bleeding edge of science and technology, and I happen to be a physician when people started calling me Dr. Intergalactic. And I've worked as Associate Chief Health Officer for IBM Watson. So I help develop AI applications utilized for healthcare across the globe. I've worked as head of innovation for Elon Musk's Hyperloop Transportation Technologies project. I've worked as an advisor to NASA iTech for several years, which is an accelerator created by NASA to help us solve the solutions to help us create a multiplanetary species. And I've been an advisor to MIT and to the United Nations and even to the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, developing emerging technologies, utilization both to solve problems here in the US, but also internationally. So because of the things that I've worked on is how I ended up getting the name of the first intergalactic doctor. So that's the backstory.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Dr. Intergalactic. You know, I don't know if you know, I write children's stories and have a hit podcast with kids and hitting #1. I might have to write you an animation TV series.
That would be awesome. We would love to work together in some capacity.
Yeah, that would be so amazing. So you actually, because I was thinking when you said that, like Elon Musk, and so you actually worked for Elon Musk. Well, everyone's going
to... No, I didn't work for Elon. I worked on his project.
Okay.
Hyperloop project, yeah.
Oh, so you worked on his Hyperloop project. Well, I hope Elon Musk hears this and that you guys can hopefully meet. Everyone wants to meet him, right? It's so amazing. But I want to talk about you today because you're also the CEO of Astra Media. Can you share a little bit more about that with our audience today?
Sure, yeah. So even though I've worked on various emerging technology projects, there's an issue within science and technology or the STEM fields, right? Where there's a lack of diversity. My background, I was born in Puerto Rico. My mother's Puerto Rican, my father's Dominican. And oftentimes on these projects, I would be the only person of Hispanic origin or the only person from a minority group that was working on these projects. And if you look across the industry, it's an issue that happens really pretty much in many companies throughout the industry. And it's not just a lack of ethnic diversity, it's also a lack of gender diversity, of gender identity diversity, of disability diversity, neurodiversity. So Ad Astra was really created to solve that problem of trying to diversify the STEM fields. And the way that we utilize or the way that we want to try to diversify is really through informal science learning. So it's a lot about media creation, creating both a media content that's educational and entertaining that reaches underserved communities that haven't been a part of the STEM industry, and trying to inspire them and tell stories that are representative of them to be able to have them go into science and technology. So that's really what we're about. We're creating media content that's focused on STEM edutainment, or we call it STEAM because we're adding the creative aspect to that, the arts to those industries, whether it be children's books, whether it be web comics, whether it be live action webinars, whether it would be documentaries or animation, 2D, 3D, VR, AR, all those things we're working on. And we've been able to create collaborations with multiple educational entities, nonprofits, and even for-profits to be able to drive the mission forward.
That's so beautiful. That's amazing. So you're going to use like little web series to incorporate adding all these beautiful people that kind of like get falling in the shuffle. Because I also have film addicts that we're going to probably have you on too as well. And they said like the animation is traditionally like more of a males club. And so some things are just, I think it's nice to like if they have openings where people just with talent is able to apply. One of the contests that I applied to, they didn't even ask if you're male or female or anything about your identity. You just kind of entered the contest with your talent, and if it got accepted, they accepted you, and they didn't know if you're male or female or what your your background was, which I think is really a beautiful way to just let people with talent get in. But this is just an amazing. You're at Astra Media. I want to ask you real quickly about the you're a fellow of the Eisenhower Foundation. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's actually part and parcel to at Astra. So the Eisenhower Foundation is a non-for-profit focused on mid-career professionals that are looking to transition or get prepared for their next stage in the evolution of their professional careers. And I was actually giving the talk, and I was a lecturer and a judge at this conference about 2 years ago now. And I had two separate fellows come up to me individually. They hadn't coordinated this, and throughout the course of the conference, they kind of talked to me about what the fellowship was about and what they really focused on. And did some homework on the organization, and there's been many people that have been a part of some pretty impressive groups and projects throughout history that have been a part of the Eisenhower Fellowship. So it was definitely an organization that spoke to my particular mission and vision and ethos, and they were really the springboard for me to create at Astra Media. Talking with some of the fellows, I've been a consultant and in various technology projects, and they talked about, well, what would you like to do? And I had a growing passion to try to diversify the industry and try to get kids from underserved communities to go into the industries, because I believe that these industries are the ones that are more resilient to things like pandemics and climate change. They're also the higher socioeconomic paying jobs that will be into the future. And if you can elevate the socioeconomic status, then I feel like the different types of deserts that underserved communities tend to live in, whether it be healthcare deserts, educational deserts, food deserts, digital deserts, those things tend to get ameliorated over time as the socioeconomic status elevates. So the Eisenhower Foundation was really, the fellowship is all based around creating at Astra Media. So they were the impetus to start this project.
Amazing. And so what kind of projects do you work on? And how can someone apply, or how did someone apply to?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned how even in animation, there's obviously an issue with lack of gender diversity, at least in most of our creatives, I would say, and Lauren's on here, but most of the team and most of our creatives is primarily female. And actually a large percentage of it, of the team is, and that's something that we like to promote, and that's something that we're strong advocates for. So the types of things that we work on is we have an early childhood series of STEAM series that we have for kids 0 to 5. It's a bilingual series, so everything we create, we try to start it bilingual, and we're looking to expand into other languages as well. But everything starts in Spanish and English. So to have the early childhood STEAM series, and our first book that's out now on Amazon, it's called Good Night Little Astronaut, or Buenas Noches Pequeña Astronauta. We have several other books that we're going to be releasing from the remainder of this year and into the first few quarters of next year. We have a different new early childhood series that we're excited to announce soon that will be focused on topics around toxic masculinity and having early childhood readers for that, specifically targeted towards education of young boys. We have a digital web comic that's been going on for several months, and we're looking to expand that series. And we've also worked on documentaries. Our first one is about to be released here in the next 1 to 2 months, based on our Chopin in Space Children's Project initiative. And then we also have several animation series that we're building out, and also even some older book series for older teenagers and young adults that will hopefully be released here towards the end of the year.
Oh, and then and so where can they see your stuff? You said it's at Amazon, the web series, or is it a YouTube channel that you have where they can go see your content that you're creating?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah. So where can our audience go see your comic book series and the content that you're creating?
Absolutely. So we have several ways that people can access our content, in which we are a for-purpose company. So we're not a 501c3, but we try to allow most of our content as much as we can to be available free and offline so that students and teachers and parents can utilize it. So if you go to our website, AdAstraSteamMedia.com, that's ADASTRA, STEAM, STEAM, media.com. That's where you can get all of our content there. Then we are also, our early childhood book series is available on Amazon. So if you just look up Goodnight Little Astronaut or en español, Buenas noches pequeño astronauta, you can find our book there available via ebook or paperback. And we're also, our webcomic is available on our website, but you can also follow it on social media by following me at Dr. Intergalactic on Instagram. And we're also available on Webtoons if you follow via Webtoons.
Oh, that's really cool. And so you also have the Intergalactic Academy, right? Can you share?
Yeah, that's the webcomic. Yeah, the webcomic is called the Intergalactic Academy. And the premise behind it is we have our main character, Dr. Intergalactic, and he has an intergalactic academy in space that he's been teaching all the different creatures throughout the cosmos about science and technology. But he has a new mission, and he wants to focus on humanity's realm within science and tech. So he decides for his next semester, the next school session, that he wants to focus on 5 individual kids from diverse backgrounds to teach them about STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So he sets his robotic sidekicks to go recruit these 5 diverse kids. They're diverse in background and gender identity and ethnicity and gender and neurodiversity. And he imbues each of them with a different power of STEAM, and they go and have adventures in space as they learn about their particular powers. And then eventually we want them to go back to their communities and utilize their powers to solve real world problems within their communities, whether it's in their community centers or schools or churches or other things like that.
Oh, great. And then so this might be a new term to most of our audience, but so STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And so I want to ask a little bit more and so that they get an understanding. So you did you grow up in Virginia? You said you're from Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah, no, I grew up in Puerto Rico. Yeah, I live in Virginia now, but I grew up in Puerto Rico. I was born and raised on the island. My dad was Dominican, and he came over to Puerto Rico from Dominican Republic to study at the University of Puerto Rico, and that's where he met my mom. And they started a family in Puerto Rico, and then I left Puerto Rico when I was very young. I was like 5, 6, 7. And we came to Florida, and then grew up in Florida the rest of my life, with the exception of spending all the summers or the majority of the summers in Puerto Rico with my grandmother. So yeah, that's how I grew up.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful Puerto Rico. Yeah, my mother's Italian, so I was born in Italy, so I kind of relate a little bit, having the a second language and coming to America and being bilingual. So that's really beautiful. And then you went to University of Virginia. And that's where you went to Eastern Virginia Medical School, right?
No, so I did my undergrad in med school at the university. So I did my medical school at University of South Florida in Tampa, so it was still in Florida. And then I did my postdoc training. I did my internship at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. Then I finished my radiology residency at Northwell in New York. So I lived in Brooklyn for several years, and then I did a fellowship at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. But now currently I have professorships both at the University of Virginia and as well as at Eastern Virginia Medical School. So that's where my academic professorships are, as well as I'm faculty at Singularity University.
Oh, okay, great. And that's so beautiful. So you're a professor currently at Eastern Virginia Medical School, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yep, professor of radiology.
Oh, that's amazing. And what made you go into the specialty of radiology, or how did you pick that area of expertise?
Yeah, radiology has always been kind of at the leading edge of technology. So I've always been attracted to technology, both emerging and whatnot. So that's really what attracted me towards radiology more than anything else.
Okay, great. And you're also a mentor for MIT Solve an Ideas program, and you've been featured in Forbes, Univision, and NASA 360. Can you share a little bit of your favorite parts of those wonderful accolades?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for asking. So, as far as for MIT, I've been a mentor and advisor to their accelerator program. So MIT has several technology accelerators, and I've been a part of Solve and Ideas, and they're both focused on developing technology solutions for emerging markets or growing markets, as well as for underserved communities. So it's really all about how you leverage technology and innovation to solve social impact problems, whether it be early childhood education or access to water in places that have those kinds of difficulties. So that's really what inspires me, is using technology for social good. So those are two accelerators that I'm very proud to be a part of. And Ideas specifically focuses on solutions that come out of the out of the student body at MIT. So it's really all about young kids, young innovators, young scientists, trying to utilize their brains and technology to solve problems to improve the world. And that's something that we want to both nurture and cultivate, because they're going to be our leaders going into the future. So we have to prepare them and help them kind of understand that technology, just for technology's sake, is not the end all, or just for an economic sake. Like, you really want to make sure that no one is being left behind as you're creating solutions. So that's something I'm very passionate about. And then the other thing that you mentioned, Forbes and Univision and NASA 360, yeah, those are all groups that I've given talks for, or with Forbes I've written papers for, or articles. And it's an interesting. It's always fun to have those kinds of opportunities. Don't take them for granted, but it's just part of the journey,
Yeah, and you're currently the Chief Medical Innovation Officer for Liberty Biosecurity. Can you just share with us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So Liberty Biosecurities is a company that's focused on developing novel biotechnology. So taking extreme files and doing biomimicry, understanding how extreme organisms, whether they be bacteria or fungi, how they have evolved, and the different tools that they utilize in their evolution to sustain, their progeny. And we learn from them to be able to do things that we can actually utilize for human use. For example, being able to create novel antibiotics or antibiofilms, or being able to create novel ways to create organic sunblocks that organisms have developed and evolved over time. So that's really what we work. So we do a lot of collaborations with organizations such as NASA to be able to both study and understand these types of organisms, and then also to be able to develop solutions based on their evolutionary biology.
Yeah, and before this, you served as Associated Chief Health Officer for IBM Watson Health, leading enterprise-wide research collaborations and with partners around the globe to develop AI medical breakthroughs. I mean, Jose, you are such an amazing doctor and doing so many wonderful things. Is there anything that you'd like to share during COVID, how this affected you, and on any positive changes that you think are coming out of it?
Yeah, well, I think COVID's affected everybody, right? I think hopefully what people will take from this is that these types of things, whether it be climate change or global pandemics, it's something that everyone has to be a part of the solution. It's not just one group of individuals. That we all have to be a part of that solution because it affects everyone equally. So we all have to be part of the plan to get out of it. And I hope it opens up people's eyes that usually when you have these global cataclysmic events that occur, it's always the most vulnerable of us and the ones that have that the infrastructure is not there to sustain as well, that tends to get affected more so than others. So I hope it's something that that people will take with them.
Yeah, and you're doing so many wonderful things to encourage people to come together, which is so beautiful. And so can you so once again, if you'd like to see what Dr. Jose Morey is doing, you can go to astrasteammedia.com, which is ADASTRASTEAM, astrasteammedia.com, or visit Amazon Webtoons, and you can see all his beautiful his book stories. So I wanted to ask you, uh-huh, yeah, and so just real quickly, can you just share with us a little bit more about your CEO of Astra Media, how people can connect with you or submit to you for, you said that people can submit to for content creators?
Yeah, well, they can go to the website and follow our contact email there. And they can also just reach out directly through Instagram at Dr. Intergalactic is my Instagram page. So that's another way. We put all our content on that page as well.
Okay, so you're on Instagram at Dr. Intergalactic. Are you on Facebook by any chance, or Twitter?
I am on Twitter at Dr. Morey1, DRMOREY1, and then we do have an Ad Astra Media Facebook page.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure having you on the show today. And just moguls, please check out Dr. Jose Morey, his amazing intergalactic Ad Astra Media. It's amazing. His books and his academy. It'll be so wonderful. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you very much, Marilyn.
You're welcome. And thanks, Mogul, for listening. Until next week, keep on staying positive, and wonderful to have you listening to the show today.